welcome to session 7 of our Easter Quiet book from Shelly Smola. This is our last session. We'll be talking about putting it together, finishing it up, all that fun stuff. And just as a reminder, because I do this every time, this is a wonderful book, although it could also be a quilt, that has lots of activities for children, although it is more for the older child, not very young. My 1-year-old is not allowed to touch it because she'll eat part of it. But there's like an Easter egg hunt, a lamb that the bow has needs a bow tied, some chicks hiding in an egg. Good morning, Maria. And every page has something going on. Also, the front page is a egg that is pieced in the hoop, which is always fun. So, in this session, we are just going to finish our book. So this is the front of mine. So we're going to trim all the pages, if you haven't already, which we did talk about that a couple sessions ago, attach our 3D elements, and then sew our pages together. So some of the supplies you'll need, if you haven't trimmed, we recommend a fun rotary cutter. So I had a wave rotary cutter that I trimmed my pages with, an X-Acto knife, ribbons, a tapestry needle that the ribbon will fit through, hot glue, rickrack or trim, which is put on the outside of our pages or between our pages. I recommend the Perfect Punch tool. This is a tool from OESD that punches holes, and that makes putting in the 1/4-inch grommets way easier. Also, you'll need a hammer for putting those grommets in. Book rings, you'll want 5 book rings to attach them. There is an alternative method where you use ribbon. I chose to use book rings because it's way faster, and I think it will hold up better. And then a 1/2-inch button if you wanted to do the tab closure. So first, we're going to trim all our pages with a fun rotary cutter. And you also want to determine what order the pages will go in. So with mine, because I didn't think of it too far out, but I had my front cover and my back cover be purple, and it was the only color that I did twice. So I decided to put the other 2 pages that are purple in the center, so they're not like right on top of each other. Now that I have it done, you would have never seen it if they even were on top of each other, but that was part of my thought process. And then I just had fun figuring out where I wanted them to go. I did kind of follow the order they were in the instructional PDF, but not completely. So then we need to attach all our 3D elements before we sew our pages together. So we want to use an X-Acto knife. This one is from Fiskars. It is it has you holding it a little oddly, but it works really well. And you want to cut open all the eyelets and make sure it goes all the way through, because there's nothing worse than trying to put a needle through something when the hole's not all the way there. And you're going to do that on both the 3D elements and the pages that have the eyelets. So then we're ready to attach, but only if I don't hit my scroll wheel. So we're going to gather the ribbon as called for on the pages, a tapestry needle, and then the 3D element, and of course the page. With this particular one, this is the puzzle basket. It can be put together multiple ways. You can have a beaded handle, you can have 1 ribbon, you can have 2 ribbons, lots of things that you can choose to do. In this case, I am doing I'm showing the 2-color ribbon method. So I have a purple ribbon and a blue ribbon. So we're going to start by threading our tapestry needle with the ribbon, and we're going to go down in this top eyelet. And if you look at the PDF that comes with the embroidery designs, all of these eyelets are numbered, and it makes life a lot easier to figure out what's going on. So we're going to go down. We are going to leave about a 15-inch tail so we can tie a bow. I am sorry if you can hear the commentary in the background. Someone is not happy that they can't get to their mom. So we're going to go down this eyelet, and then we're going to come up this second eyelet. And then we're going to continue weaving up and down until we get to eyelet 9. So we're going to, my ribbon's actually down right now, and it's coming from the back around. Then we are going to skip this eyelet, which is number 34, come up this first eyelet down here, and go through the corresponding eyelet on the 3D basket. Then we are going to weave up and down, going through both the basket and the page, and that's what is attaching our basket to our page to give it that 3D element. And we are going to end on this eyelet, it's number 24, coming out of it. Then we want to basically whip stitch along the top of the basket. It gives us a really cool effect, and we're going to end up on the other side. So now we're ready for the second ribbon. If you were using one ribbon, you would do basically the exact same thing we're doing with the second ribbon, just using the ribbon you already have. We're kind of going opposite. So we're starting in this eyelet over here, which is eyelet 9, and we're going down through it and then back up through 8. Again, we're leaving a tail just on the opposite side. So we're going to have a blue and a purple tail on the left side and a blue and a purple tail on the right side. We are going to weave back and forth until we get over to eyelet 1, and we have gone down through eyelet 1. And we're going to actually skip 2. So we're going to skip this top left one and the one underneath of it and come up through eyelet 22 and then weave in and out. And I love how this looks where you get every other color. Yes, I could have been more careful with how my ribbon laid, but that's a nitpicky thing, and I'm fine with that. We go down this eyelet here, skip the next eyelet, and just come up that top eyelet, which is number 34. Then we're going to whip stitch back across the top of our basket, and that should leave us with tails on either side. At this time, you could choose to add a handle, and I'm going back and forth. When I ran to the store to get my grommets, or my grommets, for attaching the pages together, I forgot to look at the pony beads, because that's the size you kind of need. The ribbon has to go through it, the tapestry needle needs to go through it. So I kind of left mine for right now to decide whether I want to put beads on it or not. But to finish it off without beads, you would tie the ribbons on each side into a bow and use hot glue to keep them tied. Because we all know little kids, and if they can untie something, they will. So then we have our egg basket, and this is done similarly, but just one color of ribbon, and they don't really label the eyelets. So they show like arrows showing how you go. So we're going to start by coming up through this, going down through this middle eyelet. And then weaving across, skipping the eyelet next to where we went down, and skipping the top eyelet and coming out this one through both the page and the basket. Then we just weave our way around to this top eyelet. Then we're going to whip stitch across the top. And then we are going to go across the top handle part. You can also add beads here, like you would do it on basically between each eyelet. Again, did not look at the beads, forgot to look at the beads, so I don't have any. But if you just wanted ribbon, at this point you would tie the tails into a bow, secure it with hot glue, and cut off the excess ribbon, because I know there is excess ribbon here. Then we have our zipper pockets. To me, these are way easier. These I actually got all the way done. We're going to start from the back, and we're going to go up at the bottom center to the right, this eyelet right here. We're going to go up through that eyelet, weave all the way around until we get back to the zipper. And at that point, both our ribbon tails should be at the back. And we are just going to tie a knot with the ribbon and cut off the extra. All we have to do. Super quick and easy. Then for the concentration pocket, I decided to start in the upper left-hand corner. And again, you're weaving back and forth till you get all the way back to the beginning. And then we are going to tie it and cut our ribbon short. I honestly liked putting the zipper pockets on because it was just like, the eyelets are big enough. That's almost like one of the toys I used to have as a kid, where you would just be basically hand sewing things together. But you don't have to regulate your stitch length, which is my problem with hand sewing. So now, with all the 3D elements attached, we are ready to construct. So I'm going to mostly show the front cover because that's what I took a picture of. And it's the complicated one, and then the other ones are much simpler. So this is assuming you want to put a button on it. If you don't want to use the tab and the button, then you don't have to go through all of this. But what I'm going to do is we take the front cover and the first page. You're going to put them wrong sides together. What I never put in the PowerPoint is I couldn't get mine to stick like I wanted them to. I probably needed to use more pins. I got frustrated. I used temporary spray adhesive 505. I 505 the wrong side of both pieces of my fleece and stuck them together. And I did both sides so that the rickrack would stay between, because we want to insert our trim between the two pages. The 505 works better on all the other ones. This one we're going to have to open up in a second, so keep that in mind. You might get sticky on some of your sewing machine. But, okay, so we have our two pieces together, wrong sides together, so pretty sides out. We insert our trim. In this case, I have rainbow rickrack in between the two pages, and pin them or clip them into place. Then we are going to sew down the right side of the page, hopefully catching your rickrack as you go. Then we're going to open our pages up. So here's my front cover on the left, the first page on the right, and we are going to sew a button 1/2 inch in from the edge of the front cover and then centered as well. I am using our button sew-on foot to sew my button on, because if you have a tool, you should use it. And with this, the best way to sew a button on is to lower your feed dogs and use the button sew-on program if you have it. You can also use the zigzag stitch. By lowering your feed dogs, the back looks a little bit better, and you just basically zigzag back and forth to sew the button on. You do want to go slow the first couple zigzags to make sure that you're not going to hit your button and either break it or break your needle, both of which I've done, but still way faster than hand sewing. So we're going to sew our button on, and then we are going to sew the top and the bottom of the book. This is the hardest part because I already have my trim sewn in, and so it is just a matter of making the trim go where it's supposed to go. And as you can kind of see here, I did not get the rickrack completely sewn in, and I've decided that's fine. Completely fine. We're just going with it. I'm not going to rip out to put the rickrack in. It's giving it texture. So we're going to sew the top and bottom. And then, forgot to take more pictures, but you're just going to place the next two pages wrong sides together, insert the trim all the way around, not just one side. And then I started from the top, sewed the top, side, and bottom. And you do that for all the pages. So you should do that, but not the back cover, because if you put a button on, you need to put a tab in. So there's 4 pages that are done that way, and then we're ready for the back cover. And the only difference is you're going to place your sides together. It was about this point that I just cut my rickrack on each side, and tried to hide the raw edges in the corners. And we're going to insert the tab between the back cover and my trim. Now you want to make sure that tab is long enough so that it will button on the front cover with all the 3D elements inside the book. I will admit I winged it and just went with, yeah, it'll be fine. I was super lucky. This book is way thicker than you think it should be, or at least I thought it should be, because of the 3D elements. So like when you have all the bunny puzzle pieces in, when you have the concentration cards in, that's quite thick. I will show my book at the end so you can see it on the camera. So what the PDF recommended and what I should have done, and of course there should have and what did I actually do, is putting all your 3D elements into the other pages and laying them together and making sure that tab will reach the button. Once you have the tab inserted and it's going to work, you're going to sew the top, right, and bottom sides again. Now we're ready to add our grommets. So to add our grommets, we are going to mark it. So my pages did not quite end up at 9 inches. They are supposed to be 9 by 7, but this is an 8.5 inch ruler, so that it's not quite 9. It's fairly close. But what I did, and there is a little ruler in the instructions, I ended up just doing it this way and it worked really well. I measured about 1 inch in from the side on the top and the bottom, and then I found the center. So for this particular ruler, I just kind of centered it on my page, and this white line is the center of the ruler, so I used that. And then I figured out what the distance between my leftmost dot and my center dot was, and figured out what the center marking is. And the main thing is be consistent with all your pages. If you measure it one way, measure it that way for all your pages. But I did insert 5 grommets for each page. This is the Perfect Punch tool. It comes with multiple tips, so there's different sizes you can punch out. OESD uses this a lot on their freestanding structures right now, and it does make putting them together a lot easier, because for those particular things, instead of cutting out a hole in the middle of applique, you just punch a hole afterwards. Super easy. I don't know if we've ever used a 4mm tip on their projects, but it does come with one. 4mm is not actually a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch is closer to 6. However, it's the largest tip and at least gives me somewhere to start since I don't have a 1/4 inch punch. And it will punch through both layers of fleece. I did use a wooden block to punch into to protect my cutting mat and my table. When I was cutting the eyelets open with the 3D elements with my X-Acto knife, that I was not pushing hard enough to really mess up my mat. With this punch tool, you can definitely punch hard enough to mess with your mat. So please use a wooden block like comes with a buttonhole cutter. So once I have a hole, I am inserting the top of the grommet into the hole. In this case, mine the top had longer prongs that goes through, and you just kind of stretch it to make it fit in. Then we are going to put the back on, and you can see these little pieces here are the little teeth of the grommets from the front, and the back is just a little bit bigger than the front. And I don't know what to call these things. This is the back grommet holder is what I was calling it. It's what you hammer into so that it forms the grommet properly. And you want to make sure that that is securely placed and everything, like nothing sliding around, because if anything slides around, it will not hammer properly. Then we are going to put this metal top piece. Usually these come with at least 1 pack of grommets so that you have the tool to do it. On top, again, making sure that it is perfectly positioned. And then you hammer it 5 to 10 times to install your grommet. And they aren't perfectly clean, I'll be honest. Like, if I look at the back, I can see some of the little teeth, but they are fairly smooth. So it's all good. Then you are going to use book rings to attach all the pages together. I found these fun rainbow book rings at one of the office supply stores, or at least their website. And then you should have already inserted all the 3D elements like the eggs, the chicks, the puzzle pieces, all that fun stuff. If you haven't already, go ahead and do that. So any questions or comments? And because I know there is a stream delay, I am going to show you my book while I wait to see if there's questions or comments. Okay. There we go. So color is not quite right because this is purple and it does not look purple on my screen, but you can kind of see it is a very fluffy book. I am also going to get a pom-pom for the tail of my Easter bunny, or my bunny at the back. My mother-in-law has it, but I will not be seeing her until Saturday. So I did not get it done. And if I can get my little thing. So at my craft store, I found this really cute button that is also purple. That's also not showing very well, but it matched really well. And I didn't take my fleece when I went, so I'm really happy with that. But I have my puzzle pieces, my chicks, which are, you can unzip and there's little chicks. Which, yes, I forgot to take the wash away stabilizer off, but that doesn't stop me from finishing the book. And I have my Easter hunt page, and I did just stuff my ribbon in here because I'm still trying to decide how I want to finish it, whether I want to, well, I guess that one, I just need to get my hot glue gun out and hot glue it. I forgot to talk about the little lamb. I knew there was something I forgot on my PowerPoint. So the little lamb, you have a bigger piece of ribbon, and the only difference is on him, and you can see how well my bow tying skills work, is there is a knot behind him to hold the ribbon where it can't be pulled through one way or the other. But I am not good at tying ribbons or tying bows. So I will always have a funky ribbon. And then I have my concentration card. This is another pocket that is quite thick because there's quite a few of those cards. And that was my last page. So then I have the end. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions or comments. So thank you all for coming on this journey with me. And I hope to see your Easter Quiet book whenever you get it done, which is, if you started at the beginning, hopefully by Easter. You have a little over a week, and it's totally possible. Because I worked on mine like maybe 2 days and did have some tiny hand assistance. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in our next project. Bye.